Hello, welcome. I am Noelle with Noelle Rollins Art. I have been an artist for 30 plus years. I focus on all things helping you create an inspired life using creativity, life skills, writing, creating art, all the fun stuff. Today, I want to talk about the top 10 things that I gave up to simplify my life. Why that matters and why I'm the right person to teach you that. I have an artist brain. It's going a million miles a minute. I grew up with chaos all around, 5 kids in our family, just a lot of things always happening. Nowhere in my natural way of being is calm, orderly, simplified life. It has been a practice and a lot of work for me to figure these things out, but it has been life-changing. So I'm going to share them with you in from 10 down to 1 being the thing that changed my life the most when I quit it. So number 10, keeping up with others. This is an exhaustive practice where if you worry about keeping up, in America, we have a saying called keeping up with the Joneses. But if you worry about keeping up with everyone else, it's a never-ending battle. There's ways to have your eye on things to just kind of make sure you're in the mix in a healthy way. But if you notice your neighbor gets something and then you find yourself needing to get it, or your friend just got a different car, so now you want a different car, it's time to just take a minute and gut check, because there's always going to be people that have more stuff. There always is. It's a battle that's really, there's so much freedom that comes when you step away from it. And you can have wonderful things. It's not giving up on having things or a certain type of life. It's just giving up on the need to care how it compares to others. All right, number 9, cable. This may seem like a past topic, but it was a big deal for me. It was about 12 years ago now, and we gave up our cable, and I actually found some old journals where I had written about the process and how just deeply it was affecting me. It was almost like a level of detox where I was having to journal about it each day, and how I was getting through having almost like a pacifier of just this noise in the background, this little bit of something I could keep on. And so getting rid of that, it was part of when we got out of debt. We started that journey about 12 years ago. I'll talk more about that coming up, but cutting the cable was a big one. It simplified our minds, our space, added a calmness to our home, and it saved us money as well. So now we stream 1 or 2 different channels at a time. We try to keep that pretty simple as well. Number 8, comparison. So I look at this a little different than keeping up with others. I think of this as everything from competition to comparing. As a business owner, it is so easy to get wrapped up in what every other business owner is doing. Comparing my things. Why is mine not doing as good as hers? Oh, look, I'm doing better now. No, none of that. Instead, it's all about uplifting one another, celebrating each other's successes, especially as women business owners. Just believing in each other, and when one succeeds, it helps everybody. And that can be said for your community as well, your family, just celebrating each other. It's such a different way of looking at things, and it's so freeing when you don't need to carry around the weight of just hoping other people are not doing good. It's a heavy weight, and when you set it down and you can just celebrate them, it changes everything. All right. Number 7, people pleasing. I was taught to be a nice Midwestern girl. We say yes to things. We want to make people happy and proud of us. We do not want to disappoint people or have them think anything but the best of us. So people pleasing, showing up for everything, never saying no, was very much the model I witnessed. Learning to say no as my default, to give myself even just a moment, an hour a day to think about my answer, has changed everything. I no longer do things for people if I'm doing it out of an expectation that they're somehow going to owe me or have some unspoken thing that I think, yeah, I'll watch your kids because then someday you'll watch mine. They're probably not going to watch your kids. So don't hold that expectation and put that out there. And just, if you feel like you can watch their kids, mow their lawn, borrow them XYZ, and do so in a way without any expectation in return, then do it. If you're going to harbor some resentments, if nothing ever gets repaid, do not do it. That has been incredibly calming in life to live by that rule. Number 6, gossip. In my 20s, I remember the time where I decided I was done with the gossiping. And I had to be okay. And I remember realizing how lonely it could be when you're not willing to just sit and gossip with everybody. But it was life-changing. I am not perfect at this, but it absolutely is the way that I live my life. I like to spend my time talking with people about what they're doing, what they're working towards, how their families are, what their goals are. We like to talk about things we have in common. I don't need to bond with people over tearing apart other people. So that has been a really big, life-changing, freeing thing. And really quickly, certain people, when I was no longer willing to engage in that, they kind of just saw themselves out of my life. So it kind of worked itself out in that way. Number 5, simplifying my business. This has come in a few different phases. The first phase was when I closed my art studio about 10, 11 years ago. And I had this adorable little art studio. I would teach classes, have products in there I'd create. It was so fun, and it was just such a neat experience. The timing wasn't right, though. I had a 2-year-old. My mom had just passed. I didn't have the resources to balance it all. My other daughter was in middle school, and so there was just a lot happening with that. And I had to be okay with letting go of the image that having an art studio gave me. For certain people, that's what it took for them to want to work with me. When I gave that up and simplified that, my profits were actually higher, but my image wasn't as impressive on the outside, for whatever that's worth. But it was very freeing, and the timing was right for me to do that. Another phase came actually when I went back to college a couple years ago. I spent about 6 months before I started college again, completely simplifying life, because I knew if I'm going to work in essentially a full-time job worth of school into my life, everything in my business that wasn't serving the best part of my business had to go. So I laid out everywhere my income was coming in from, greeting cards and prints and, classes, all of the things. I laid out everywhere I was putting my energy. I tried to connect the dots on those, what things were the most profitable, and I kept about 20-25% of my business intact, and I let the rest go. That was a strange feeling and had a lot of feeling of surrendering and faith that things would work out. But what that did was it was crucial for me to be able to achieve the bigger picture goal, which is to continue to merge my business to be more virtual. I've done products my whole career, and I'm needing to just switch to a different way of being. So I'm a little bit more location independent. The next phase of that came from as we are getting prepared to travel more and spend parts of the year, potentially years at a time, just living abroad. I had to go through again and do a whole other layering and releasing. So actually in the last couple months, I've sold canvases, like blank canvases. I've sold color pencil kits, pastels. I had to look at all of the areas of my business, even if I love them, that I didn't have the space for or the time for right now, and get really real at what that looked like. So now I'm down to much more bare bones version of my business, but it's supporting the bigger dreams that I have. It also there's this freedom that comes from, let's fast forward 20 years and maybe we're retired as much as you might be as a creative, and living here. And at that point, I decided I want to start painting again. Like, I can go buy all that stuff again. There is the freedom to do that. So it's not a forever choice, but it is honoring the things that I've kept in the system, in the schedule, in the space, that those are my priority, and they are flourishing more. Number 4, debt. About 10 to 12 years ago, my husband and I worked so hard and paid off about $48,000 worth of debt. This was cars, some extra land we had. This was credit cards, vacuum cleaner, like all kinds of stuff, right? And we had to change every part of our life to make that happen. But what happened with that was this simplifying of life along the way that forced us to let go of some of the expectations that people had of us and their opinions of how we spent our money. We had to say no to eating out more with people. We had to change how we spend our time. It was more simple in ways that we'd go on walks. We would, spend time in nature, find more free things to do. But since doing that, obviously that $1,000+ a month difference that's not going to interest and payments changes everything. So there's a simplicity that comes with that. And there is more life choices you can make when you don't owe a bunch of people and companies money. So we try to never have a car payment. We try to not carry any credit card debt past. We use credit cards on our trips and things like that. But we pay it off right when we get home. So when we travel now, we save up all the money ahead of time. So that money's sitting there. So when we do get home, we can pay everything immediately. That has all been a very big shift. And it's so much less stressful. And with that comes a peace of mind and a simplicity to life that I am in love with. Number 3, toxic people. We all have those people where we've spent time with them, talked on the phone with them, text with them, and when we finish, we feel worse than when we started consistently. I started really paying attention to that inner knowing, that gut feeling that I'd get when I would have those interactions, and slowly started letting those people see their way out of my life. Most of them didn't even require a conversation, or it just kind of naturally dissolved. I didn't need to give it any more of my energy. I just realized this isn't healthy. This is not serving my biggest goals, my integrity. And it's not really helping them. I don't want to sit here and they'll find someone else to listen to them. It doesn't have to be me. That has been huge. Number 2, decluttering. I have spent way too many hours in my life going through stuff. I've inherited enough stuff for multiple people's lifetimes. I myself I spent my 20s shopping. We would go to Kohl's or different places and load up on clearance items. And I had a room in our house when I was in my 20s for gifts for people. Like, some part of my brain thought that that was normal. I had no money. I was trying to raise, a little toddler. Certainly gifts for people in a room full of them made no sense at all. But it took me many years to kind of work through that and get to that point. Since then, I've just come to a place where I don't care about stuff very much. I like a few things that mean a lot to me, a few sentimental items, but I've decluttered most of my jewelry, my clothing, my art supplies, as we've talked about. We've decluttered a lot of the stuff in our garage, extra just yard toys and things that we just realistically don't use. And it's been very freeing. We don't have to clean them. We don't have to move them around, organize them. All of those things are not taking up mental inventory in my brain anymore. And in fact, when we thought about traveling full time, one of the possibilities is renting out our house and traveling. And so there's a large percentage of things, and I challenge you to look around your house if you want to accept this challenge, and see how many things you wouldn't pack up, store for a year or two, and then remove and put back. Because for me, there is a large amount of them that I thought there is no way I'm putting that energy into those things. So I packed them up once. I priced them all for garage sales that we may have at some point. Otherwise, I'll donate them. I also donated carfuls of things. Clothing. We've sold stuff on eBay and Etsy and Poshmark and all kinds of places where I am constantly just listing things and just decluttering. It's just a part of my day-to-day now. Every couple of weeks, I'll photograph a bunch of things, then I'll slowly list them. And it's helped me to just keep life at a manageable level. And that extra money just goes towards those other goals. And so it's just this great win-win. All right, the number one thing I quit that has changed me profoundly is social media. So back in January of this year, 2025, I quit social media, several platforms, and it has been life-changing. I knew that there was this buzz, this hum that I would hear and feel like almost like they're in the hallway waiting for me. I loved checking up on people that I care about. I want to know how their kids are. I want to know what they're up to. I genuinely care about these people. I'm rooting for them in life. But I realized it was not sustainable and it was not healthy for me to try to keep up with hundreds of people all the time. I couldn't reach my own goals and make my life what it needed to be and take care of my own needs while also doing all of that. My blood pressure was high. I was just dealing with health stuff. So getting off of that has changed it all. My blood pressure is back to normal. I'm feeling great. I have this sense of almost like, if you're 40 plus, you'll probably know this feeling of before we had the internet, before we had cell phones, where you could just spend a Saturday afternoon being. You didn't have to know what everyone was doing. You didn't have to tell people what you were doing. There was none of that. You got to just be. That's how I feel. I most days have my phone silenced. I check in when I want to check in. But it has allowed me to stay in this deeper creative flow, this trusting of the universe. My ideas flow better. My art is better. My school has been better. My relationships with my family have been better. I've been able to just simply be. And I needed that more than I even realized. It had infiltrated every area of my life in more ways than I can even articulate. So I'm hoping you can take these 10 things and analyze them, see if they'll work for you. We're all different people with different goals and different paths that we've come from. I'd be curious what things you quit in your life that have given you more peace of mind and calmness and simplified your life. I also did create a free gift. It's on my website. It's called Creativity as an Act of Resistance. It's an ebook. It's all about how to get in that creative flow I was talking about and settle into this zone where you have ideas coming to you, you're problem solving. Instead of just seeing like option A or option B that the world's presenting you, suddenly you're thinking and realizing like, wait, I see option C or D. You're not having to listen to the fear and the chaos and all of the voices and the powers that be that are telling you how to think and act and be and what to do and how to not be. You get to just tune in and quiet all the noise and just tune into that inner knowing and that creativity that you have inside of you. So there's 3 things in this ebook that just help you get started in that path. And it's free on my website, and I will put that link in the description. Otherwise, you can go to noelrollinsart.com and go to the free gifts section. But I thank you for being here. I'm so glad that I get to share this time with you. And I hope that these help you. Again, share in the comments what things you have quit that have helped you simplify your life.